How's this? How's this? Check, check, check. 1, 2, 3. All right. We're
Good morning, Unity. Good morning. We're going to wake up, and what are we going to say?
Hallelujah for this day.
Yeah, hallelujah for this day. Oh, I'll wake up and say, hallelujah for this day. Oh, how it blesses me. I'll wake up and see Spirit in me. Oh, how it blesses me. I'm gonna say every morning, thank you, say in the noontime, thank you, say every evening, thank you, oh, how it blesses me. I wake up and feel more of love in me revealed. Oh, how it blesses me. I wake up and know Spirit in me grows. Oh, how it blesses me. I'm gonna say every morning, thank you, say in the noontime, thank you, say every evening, thank you, oh, how it blesses me. I'm gonna say, thank you, say in the noontime, thank you, say every evening, thank you, oh, how it blesses me, oh, how it blesses, oh, how it blesses me, oh, how it blesses, oh, how it blesses.
Boy, how that music blesses us. Thank you so much, singers and musicians. We love you. Thank you, thank you. Well, good morning, Unity Spiritual Center of Portland, to those of you who are in the room. And good morning to those of you who are online in our virtual family. We welcome you all and are glad that you're with us on this morning. I'm Beth O'Shields, and I'm your administrator. This is the last week of Lisa's sabbatical, so I know you all are anticipating her return next Sunday for Sunday service. And I know she's going to be here Friday, too, for that garden party, so that's a little heads up on that, too. But it's a privilege and an honor to be sharing the platform today with our guest speaker, Sherry Dunn. We're so grateful for that. And, this week's been a lot. I don't know if any of you guys are feeling that, but there's been a lot happening. There was a lot happening this morning before the service even started. So it's just one of those times, and I know in the world, it's a time that we can remember that we can be in the world and not of it. There's a lot happening. I know I want to acknowledge the anniversary of 9/11 is today. And our thoughts, we can turn our thoughts of gratitude for the first responders, right? Those who are serving right now in our communities, and the firefighters in California and in our own state of Oregon, the people who rush into crisis to help us. We need to hold those responders all in our hearts today. And there was also the passing of a queen. And I know there's a lot of mixed feelings about this, but there is a nation in mourning over the loss of this wonderful matriarch who devoted her life for 70 years. But there's also new hope for the modernization of a monarchy. We have to look at the change that needs to happen, and we can know and trust that it's going to bring that country into a more balanced and fair representation of its people. So we have to look at things with what I learned this week. The affirmative prayer that they were holding for World Day of Prayer was that I pray with an elevated mind and an open heart. And I certainly feel like we need to look at the world with that elevated mind and that open heart. And we do know that all things work together for good. The open heart is our compassion, our empathy toward ourselves and toward each other in these challenging times and in times of celebration. And we are so fortunate to have a community who holds that for each other, for our neighboring community, for our world. We're always trying to find new ways to reach out, serve the greater community, serve each other. That's certainly happening as we open up more and more since the pandemic. So with that open heart, let's move into a moment of prayer. Take a moment to settle into this space, leaving all those worldly things at the door. Relax into the comfort of your chair for a moment. And we just say, Mother, Father, God, Infinite Spirit, we join our minds and hearts in gratitude, in the joy of knowing that we're one, an expression of love in the world. We know that all things come together for good, and we activate our elevated thinking to know that it's so. We elevate our prayers to send love and gratitude out into the world, touching those who are hurting this morning, who are needing that extra love. And we're so grateful for our time together this day, for the gifts that it brings us, for the love and support we have for each other here in our community, for the gifts that everyone brings and shares to make this wonderful hour happen each week. And for these gifts, we give thanks. And so it is. So we did have a wonderful World Day of Prayer that our prayer chaplains created for us this past week over in the East parking lot at our Labyrinth. We had a beautiful prayerful time walking, and we were gifted with the rise of a beautiful full moon. So it was just a beautiful night, and I want to thank you all who joined us. And our prayer chaplains are here each week to hold the space for you and for this spiritual community. Carol, if you'd stand. Carol's going to be our prayer chaplain who's available to pray with you in person today. Oh, and Lynn, excuse me. Woo. and Lynn, our prayer chaplain. She was already standing, so yeah. So, but yeah, they're available to pray with you after the service, as there are prayer chaplains available each week, available to pray with you. And if you don't want to pray in person, there's prayer requests in the backs of the chairs. You can fill those out. You can place them in our prayer box. You can go on the website and put your prayer request in that way. These prayers are held for 30 days, and then they're passed on to Silent Unity. We also have Dial-A-Prayer. And we have little business cards. I don't know if you're all aware of this or not, but we have little business cards with the Dial-A-Prayer phone number on them that are out in the lobby. You can take those with you and put them next to your phone. But I want to mention that prayer chaplain training is going to begin in October. And we're inviting anyone who's interested in serving unity in this way by praying with others, by opening yourself up to grow spiritually, and to do some sacred listening. We have applications today. Carol has applications if you're interested in joining this powerful prayer team. We invite you to come and see Carol today after the service and apply. Our fall program begins October 2nd, as do our spirit groups. And we have all the sign-ups are out on the lobby table, and they're also online as well in that weekly newsletter that you get. We have lots of options. I think there's a Zoom spirit group for every day, so you have lots to choose from. The fall program this year is From Fear to Faith, Transforming Fear to Faith, and it's based on the book The Universe Has Your Back by Gabrielle Bernstein. Alice has a whole stack of those for you in the bookstore, so if you haven't picked it up yet, you can go do so. And let's see. Reverend Lisa and Marilee Payne are starting a class on Mondays beginning September 26th. That's a week from this Monday, next Monday. It will be a hybrid class, so you can come and do it in person or you can do it online. It's called the Quantum Mind. And you know, Reverend Lisa talks about this quantum field, this quantum mind very often. And so they're going to be expounding on that. And it's a wonderful book, I've heard. So come and join them. You can sign up again online. It's $90 for the whole class, which gives you a little price break if you pay in advance, or it's $15 a class. And we do encourage you to sign up through the link on the website or in the newsletter. And I'm excited to say our next garden party fundraiser is coming up pretty quick. I've been talking with Colleen this week. She's going to be out at the desk today selling tickets for that. It's this Friday night. 6 o'clock. She's also contracted a new band called the TMD Band, and they come highly recommended. It's 2 guitarists, and they just have a wonderful variety of music they're going to share with us. We're pretty excited about that. We've got yummy snacks available for purchase. We've got wine, and the best company you could ask for, right? Mm-hmm. We're the place to be. So come and join us in our beautiful garden Friday night, 6 o'clock. Bring a chair. I've also heard maybe a jacket. I don't know, maybe. It's okay. It's that time of year, right? But we're still good. We're going to enjoy every minute of it. It's great. So, yeah, come and join us. Get your ticket today. If you don't get it today, I know you're a lot of last-minuters. It's okay. I'm embracing that. You can come on Friday and get a ticket at the door, okay? As you know, we're excited to get some kids back in this building, right? School has started. They're starting to trickle back in. Barbara has created a new fall program for the young people called I Am the Power, based on the Unity Classic, Discover the Power Within You. So there's going to be a special blessing of backpacks next Sunday after the service. We're asking you to bring your young people back. Bring them back with their backpacks, and Lisa's going to bless those backpacks for the school year, and we have a special gift for those young people, so please make sure you come and see us next week. So there's a few things going on today. The letter writers are going to be downstairs. This group, 58 days till midterms, they are tenaciously writing letters. They have written, the whole group has written 1,500. There's 500 out. Their goal is several thousand. We might not meet the goal, but we can sure try. We can keep trying. So go talk to them today. They're downstairs. And thank them for the hard work they're doing, you know. They're also, want me to remind you, they could use some stamps. If anybody would like to donate stamps to this good cause, they welcome them. And the men's group's meeting next Saturday at 9 o'clock right here. The women's group is going to be reconvening on Sunday, September 25th. That's week after next. They're going to discuss moving forward with new meeting times. All the women are welcome to come and give their input, join in the discussion. So we welcome you to come and do that. All right, that was a lot of announcements. I understand that. There's a lot happening here. So we appreciate your attention for those. Now I want to welcome anyone who's joining us for the first time. If this is your first time here at Unity Spiritual Center of Portland, we welcome you. If you'd raise your hands, our usher would like to present you with a welcome packet if you didn't get one already when you came in the door this morning. There's a rose sticker on the front. We'd like you to wear that on your clothing today following the service. Come on down to Coffee and Connection. Get a cup of coffee, meet a few people. There's a QR code that you can use on the back also to give us your information so we get you on the newsletter. And our streaming team is putting a QR code up right now for you at home in our virtual family. You can take a snap of that with your camera and get on our mailing list and know all the good things that are happening here. And there's a lot of good things happening here. So now if you will stand for our congregational song. Let's do it.
We let the love wash over us. We let it be.
Acknowledge your neighbors, say hi, greet them with a bow or a handshake. Good morning, good morning.
Let's sing about love again. Let the love. We let the love wash over us. We let it be. One last time. We let the love wash over.
Thank you. You may be seated. And now I invite Susie Ellen up for meditation this morning, and we're going to let our musicians lead us in.
Take me with you, I'm ready to go. let the winds of change shape and blow. Now I am willing to see another part of me. Take me with you, I'm ready to go. Let the winds of change shape and blow. Now I am willing to see another part of me.
So softly closing your eyes, if they're not already closed, feeling your seat firmly on the chair and your feet grounded into the earth, and knowing that between heaven and earth, here we are as emissaries of peace, of harmony, of that joy that flows each and through every heart that is in the sound of my voice this morning. Knowing that we come together to celebrate that infinite spiritual presence and power that flows through each one of us into the world, announcing the love that we have in our heart. So I invite each one of us this morning to quiet the mind, to open the heart, and to just be present to the gift that each one of us brings. And if this morning you don't feel like you are the gift, you are. We are all the gift. We all have the love within us to share in our own special way with the world, with our community, with our friends. We are it. We are the love. It starts in each and every one of us. So just taking a moment to quiet now, to open the heart, to feel the presence of all that is, that you are, that you give to life all around you. In sweet, sweet surrender this morning, in the quiet, in this quiet time of stillness within. In these last couple minutes of meditation, I invite you to explore within yourself, what is the gift that you bring? What is the joy that you are able to share? What is the sorrow you're able to lift? Knowing that you and your life is the message. Blessed be.
Take me with you. I'm ready to go. Let the winds of change shape and blow. Now I am willing to see another part of me. Take me with you. I'm ready to go. Let the winds of change shape and blow. Now I am willing to see another part of me. Now I am willing to see another part of me. This body aches, this heart it breaks, and I look for answers. The fear of defeat settles in me, but I find the answers. This life of mine gets confusing sometimes, and I look for direction. The greater joy seems to fade away. Then I find the direction, 'cause I can change. Oh, I can change. I put my mindset on the power and embrace all the things and ways that I can change. Love is the answer, and faith is my direction. My body's healed and my mind reveals the change. Oh, I can change, I can change. I put my mindset on the power and embrace all the things and ways I understand comes from within me, and I know the answers. I will not wait, enslaved by fate, confined to convention. I cut the strings and embrace those things I know are here to guide me, 'cause I can change. Oh, I can change. I put my mindset on the power and embrace all the things and ways that I can change. Oh, love is the answer, and faith is my direction. My body's healed and my mind reveals the change. Oh, I can change, I can change. I put my mindset on the power and embrace all the things and ways that I can change. Oh, I can change. Oh, I can change. Oh, I can change.
Thanks. Thanks.
Wow. I'll tell you what, I'm really happy Lisa's coming back. First of all, let me just say that. I'm glad she's coming back. But it has been so wonderful to be supported by such fantastic music and guest speakers these last 4 weeks. I'll tell you, it's been a beautiful thing, and I'm so grateful. And I'm super grateful to introduce our guest speaker today. You know, Sherry spoke with us back in June for Juneteenth when Lisa was out with COVID, and it was kind of a quick, she just blew everybody away, though. She's been the most requested guest speaker to come back. So here she is. We're so excited that she's here. And Sherry's a member of our community, and I know she shares her message and wisdom of diversity with our community, with businesses in our community. She is such a gift, and we are so grateful she's back with us today. Sherry, come on up.
All right. Well, thank you all for having me again. It's always a surprise to me. People always are like, "Oh, it's a surprise. Why is it a surprise when people?" But it should always be a surprise when people want to hear you speak, or else you might be a little egotistical. I don't know, but it is always a surprise to me. And I have honestly been so inspired by Reverend Lisa and the way she gives her messages, and so that's really the engine behind me doing this. And I do a lot of public speaking, so it's not unusual for me. But I did want to start today, before I get to the message, to just reference, the anniversary of 9/11, right? It's 21 years ago, which is mind-boggling to me. I lived in New York at the time. I lived in the Upper West Side of Manhattan, and, it's just one of those things that's seared in your soul. It's just not something you can forget. And, anyone who, I don't know if anybody lived in New York at that time, but anybody who's there knows that the sky was so blue. It was the bluest, most beautiful blue day you could ever imagine. And then there's the smoke coming up from every direction. And, I often think about that as an unmooring. There was something about being in a space and recognizing that, you could be evaporated, like that at work or in some space, that really caused me first unconsciously, then consciously, to ask myself what was next? Where did I want to go? And 9/11 really is what got me here today. It sent me on a path. It broke me off from where I was moored and sent me out on a journey throughout the world, really, trying to figure out what it was that was meaningful to me. Which leads me here today. So, we really don't often place in historical context what happens to us and how it impacts our lives. And I frequently think about how many folks that happened to who were either in New York or witnessed 9/11 whose lives were changed. We talked about COVID and how COVID, people quit and they reevaluated. Well, people did that in 9/11. It just wasn't, I guess, on as large a scale, but it was a big thing for me. So I did just want to hold space for that and acknowledge that. So today I'm going to be talking about facing things that can be changed, the gifts of spiritual closet cleaning. And so, again, we were so grateful for our music team and who coordinated a bit on our messaging and being changed. And, for me, I am a messy person. I'm not like dirty, but like unclean, but I'm messy. And in fact, I had this whole story when I was an exchange student in London, this little girl, about how I had a messy monster who followed me everywhere I went and threw things down on the floor. If I put them up, they threw them down. So I, for me to be organized is really hard, which is funny because people are like, "Oh, you do all these things, you must be very organized." I am absolutely not organized. And so the question I want to bring today is kind of, what does that look like? So for me, what does finally cleaning and organizing my closet have to do with a gift certificate to the lovely Domaine Serene Winery and a meditation on things we fear? Well, for me, that situation had everything to do with that. So like most people, I had a closet, a desk, whichever space you have. I had a closet and a desk and drawers and under the sink that I had been ignoring. And I knew these things needed to be dealt with, but I kept putting them off. I just kept putting them off. I kept putting them off. I would look in this one closet. I'd be like, ooh, I don't want to look in there, and close that door. And, I'm like, why? What is it? What is it that is keeping me from doing this? And the crazy part is, once I really did do it, it wasn't that bad. And it wasn't as bad as I had made it out in my mind. And I wondered, why had I put this off for so long? What was I afraid of? And then this made me think about the many things in our lives, right, that we are afraid to face. Because the closet is a metaphor for so many other closed doors in our lives, right, that we are afraid to access and to figure out, what we want to get rid of and what we want to keep. And, I know people have been Marie Kondoing, this woman, Marie Kondo, who tells you to look at it and say, does this bring me joy? But as I was cleaning up and going through everything, I thought about that, and I thought, I don't think that's the question. I don't think the question is, does this bring me joy? I think the question is, how is this blocking me? And if I keep it, what is its purpose? It is neither here nor there whether, a spatula brings me joy, but if I have 5 of the spatulas and I can't get the drawer open properly or get the one I want, how is it blocking me from accessing the actual things that I need? And so that was like kind of a revelation for me. I was like, what is this about? And, how many times in our lives do we find ourselves fearful of that, literally and metaphorically? And so, it could be work, it could be fitness, it could be relationships and more. And sometimes, the items we're afraid to open can be connected to our history. I know one of the things I finally cleared away was a final box of items I brought back from Wisconsin after my mother had passed away in March, right? And so metaphorically and literally, this box has sat in the front entrance of my condo for months, right? Because cleaning it and addressing it is a finality of ending, right? And this is the thing that, why can't you just open that box? Why can't you do it, right? It is frequently this emotional piece that is holding us back. And also, that box held things that were bigger than just the items in the box. So when I thought about putting together this talk this morning, I like I said, I've been watching Reverend Lisa, so I learned a lot from her. And so I went and looked at other thought leaders and the things that they provide. And so I'm going to really rely heavily on Deepak Chopra this morning, and even some other folks. But I found some stuff from him that I thought was just so helpful for thinking about this. He has a blog online about actually spiritual closet cleaning. And one of the things he talks about is we look at this cleaning internally and externally, our physical cleaning, our emotional cleaning. So I'm going to go through the different kind of ways we think about it. So first of all, physically. In India, there's a process people go through with Ayurvedic treatment, Ayurvedic medicine. It's called a Panchakarma, or 5 actions, and it's a program that people do for 3 weeks, and it's flushing out all the toxins and things that imbalance you, and people will do it at the change of season, frequently in the spring. And so I ask you to ask yourselves, what physically cleaning do I need to do? Is it the cleaning of our eating habits? Is it the cleaning of our exercising habits? Is it facing our medical problems we don't want to face? I mean, we don't want to face these things. And by putting these things off, we are causing more problems in the long run than we are solving by our fear of that change, right? And there's so many people nowadays with uncontrolled high blood pressure, for instance, who don't want to take medication. They're like, oh, I don't want to take it. But this is, injuring your kidneys and other issues long term. So it's going to give you much bigger problems long term than the medication today. And so being able to face those fears, and then also messaging. Facing those physical issues is not about being perfect person, about being super slim or super fit or forever young. It's about your health and facing those things that you are putting off because you're afraid of what they could mean, you know? And in doing that, you're, again, causing problems farther down the road. And then there's the mental cleaning, our mind. How do we clean our mind? You know, I heard this the other day on television, so I just have to share it with you because I thought it was interesting. So the term nostalgia, how many of you familiar with the term nostalgia, right? So, you know, the term came up after World War II, I believe. Soldiers, about this time of the year, in the fall, would just become bereft and melancholy. They would lay around, they didn't want to go to war, they would just cry, they wouldn't pick up the instruments of war. And it was just, something was wrong and they couldn't figure out what it was. And they had a psychologist who came up with this term, nostalgia. He said they had a case of nostalgia. And the term nostalgia derives from Greek words, nostos, return home, and aigos, pain, a pain of returning home. Literally, nostalgia means suffering evoked by the desire to return to one's place of origin. I mean, so our emotional states frequently are pain because we haven't cleaned out nostalgia. The things that hold us or bind us kind of follow us. And it's been said that it's hard to be happy if you refuse to throw away the things that make you sad. So I will say that again. It is hard to be happy if you refuse to throw away the things that make you sad, right? And so how many of us hold into our lives those things that make us sad? That nostalgia from a time, you know, reflecting on the past is not inherently bad, but when it becomes that nostalgia, that pain that we kind of cultivate and we make a little shrine to, and we bring it into the future, you know, when, you know, if you've ever talked to someone who really is stuck in that past pain, they talk about people who are long deceased as if they are still living. You know, they bring up the ghosts to attack them today. They project these things into the future. And so we have to ask ourselves, how many of us are reliving the same old miseries? You know, how can we break free of that? And so one thought from Deepak Chopra's blog, a couple of thoughts he has here, is take some time to look at your thoughts and emotions. Are they mostly happy and optimistic, or are you mostly recycling the same worries, doubts, and regrets? Wayne Dyer, who many of you know, says progress and growth are impossible if you always do things the way you've always done them. Isn't it time for a mental cleanse? You know, letting go of mental habits is often difficult, and it can be more difficult than cleaning out the closet. But sometimes cleaning out the closet can help you think about cleaning out your mind. Sometimes a physical act could spur a thinking about the emotional act, right? But we have to ask ourselves, why are we holding on to junk in our mental space? And how is it blocking us? How is this blocking us? What is its purpose? Now, to remember things like, oh, I don't want to do that again because that was bad, that's fine. But to say, oh, it is still happening to me, it is still current, it is still that trauma response that I am still living in, that is where it causes us deep, deep pain. So the question is, what are you feeling being you, from being who you know that you can be? You know, most of the time we have a tendency to look outside for our happiness or our fulfillment or our joy. And we're looking at possessions, right? Is this thing going to do it? Is this thing going to do it? And that's actually how people end up with so much junk. They end up with so much junk, they eventually have to clean out of the closet because they're so busy. Things are surrounding you and you still aren't happy. And you still aren't in the place that you need to be. You know, when you, I don't know if you've ever seen the show Hoarders, but when you look at people who do have that condition, part of it is a fear. It's an emotion, it's directly an emotional response of control and not being in control and wanting to keep those things, right? And so this fear of being out of control and letting go so that you can get to that next place is an important part of this process. And, the reason that these external things don't bring us happiness, the way that we inherently need. What we need is to clear the path so that we can have a direct line to source, right? A direct line and a clarity that can have us know that whether or not we have the dress or the figurine or the car or the 20 pairs of shoes or whatever it is, that, as we say in Unity, we are a whole, complete expression, right, of God. And that is blocked frequently, that people cannot get to it because there's our spiritual, rather, aspects of cleaning. How do we clean our spiritual self? So this is from Matthew 21:21 to 22. And as many of you who are part of Unity know, we look at a variety of texts, including biblical texts. Think of Jesus as an inspired teacher. So, and Jesus answered to them, "Truly I say to you, if you have faith and do not doubt, you will not only do what has been done to the fig tree, but even if you say to this mountain, be taken up and thrown into the sea, it will happen. And whatever you ask in prayer, you will receive if you have faith." And so, what is that saying metaphorically? What it is saying is that you can move those mountains of clothing. You can move connection to source. You can move all things, right? Through Spirit who animates you. And as they say in the Christian church, through Christ, right? But through Spirit that animates you, that you can move all things. But it is according to your belief. If I said, well, I don't believe I can ever clean out this closet. That closet would have been there for another 2 years, full of really what turned out to be nothing. Or my desk, which looked incredibly disordered. I believe that this messaging that I got in the past when I was a child, or I don't believe this negative thing that happened to me can ever not be a part of me. It is according to your belief. And belief powers you. And so according to your belief, you can cast your literal or figurative mountains out. But it really depends on your belief. So again, I go back to Deepak Chopra. He tells the story of a temple in Thailand. Hundreds of years, people are going to this temple. They're worshiping at this clay Buddha. They're like, oh, this Buddha is very holy. And one day, one of the workers was cleaning the statue and accidentally dislodged the clay and discovered beneath the tightly packed clay that statue was actually made of gold. Solid gold statue. Centuries before, to hide it from invading looters, the monks had covered the golden Buddha with clay. Those who knew its true form had fled from the invasion and the identity was forgotten. All worshipers just assumed, it was clay. Until hundreds of years later, someone cleaning it knocks some dirt off and discovers this is pure gold. Unfortunately, that is an analogy for a lot of our lives, right? So most of us have allowed our true identities, our true nature to be covered up, right? Covered up and forgotten with a lot of clay, a lot of things, a lot of items, a lot of dust and dirt that has built up on us that we don't get to see that the magnificent shining element of ourselves that is inside. We just assume, oh, well, we're just covered in clay and that's it. And so, the question is, and Chopra says this, your breath can never be in the future. Your breath can never be in the past. It is always in the present, right? And so this is very important because we can't, I used to tell my mother this all the time because my mom was the kind of person who did ruminate a lot on past harms. And, I would say to her, I don't have a time machine. And since I'm absent a time machine, I am unwilling to continue to worry about things I cannot go back and change. I don't have a time machine. So what is the over-under on me continuing to try to spend time to breathe into the past? It is useless, right? And we cannot breathe into the future because this is unknown. I have no idea what's going to happen 10 minutes from now. When I walk out of here, all we can do is breathe into the present and focus ourselves on where we are and how we want to live and express ourselves and move those things out of the way, that past nostalgia and that future worry that is blocking and keeping us from thinking about and living in this present moment. Now, that journey can have a lot of aspects as we go on that journey to clean things away and find our golden Buddha. And Deepak Chopra talks about love and devotion, selfless service, study and deeper insights, meditation. Whichever path we choose, it is an important aspect of awareness. Whatever we do, do it with awareness. Be conscious of your choices and your actions and your words. And are they serving you? Do they have a purpose for you, or are they blocking you? Are you supporting the rest of humanity? When we live our lives with awareness, we live in the present moment. We connect with our truth, our essence, and our golden Buddha within, he says. He quotes the American clergyman Philip Elliott, who says, "Be such a person and live such a life that if everyone were as you, every life was such as yours, this whole earth would be God's paradise." You know, and so the thing of it is, it's like, I cannot fundamentally change how another person is. But what I can fundamentally change is how I am, right? And one of the things people who ascribe to, evangelical work and trying to change people miss is that, and this is, I do believe this is in the Bible, but people will know you by your works. So I don't have to make you, I shouldn't have to make you believe what I believe. Who I am and how I live should be enough to bring on those who want to go on that path. But if we are cluttered, if we are covered in mud and dust, we cannot be that. We cannot shine in that way. And we don't even have that clarity within ourselves. So how do you achieve this? How do you move these spiritual, physical things out of yourself, out of your closets, metaphorically and literally? Well, you can use your breath, as we talk about. When you find yourself getting drawn into things, slipping back under that clay, back under that pile of clothes or shoes or things, be aware of your breath. Your breath can never be, again, in the future or the past. Take a few simple breaths and try to center yourself. Of course, meditate. Meditation is a tool that can take us beyond our memories and desires. And meditation is also something that can help us address that nostalgia. And meditating and trying to clearly see and then separate. Sometimes people have a problem with meditation because they think meditation is supposed to be where you're just like, oh, I'm just meditating and nothing's bothering me. But things come up in your mind, in your brain. And, there are a lot of theories about how you should approach that. But one is to see it, acknowledge it, honor it, recognize its role in your life, but then allow it to move away, And so it's not so much fighting the feeling or ignoring or pretending. It's definitely not about pretending things aren't there. It's not about pretending things aren't in the closet. It's not about pretending the past didn't happen. It's about saying, well, these are the things, and what can I do? What can I do going forward? What am I going to keep? What am I going to give away? What don't I need? Regularly ask your heart, he says, these following 3 questions. Who am I? What is my deepest desire, and how can I serve? Who am I? What is your deepest desire, and how can I serve? Most of us are very unclear on who we are. And that's, a result of being very disconnected in a world where we're trying to be who we think we should be, or who we think other people think we should be, or who we think other people want us to be. And we move so far away from who we are. Who we are is way over there somewhere. And trying to close that space on that space between you and you is the biggest gift you can ever give yourself. Because the strength of knowing who you are can carry you far. But when there is a big gap between you and you, the world moves all kind of junk and things in between. And in order to reach that, you may have to clean a lot of that out to be able to reach back to the fundamental essence of who you are. And what is my deepest desire? You know, this is something that I also think we have a hard time addressing because we're afraid. You know, people are afraid to try things frequently because they're afraid they're going to fail. People have a hard time talking about the things they desire because they're afraid it's not going to happen. We're very scared of our desires, and we're very fearful of them. And so sometimes we can spend our life organizing our whole life around not getting hurt by our fear of the things that we desire to achieve. And the thing about this is that our deepest desires are the things that frequently guide us, and most of us have one key deep desire, and that is to be, give, and express love in the world. That is most people's deepest desire, and then it manifests itself in a variety of ways, you know? And if it doesn't look the way we think it should, then we're like, oh, it's no good, I don't want to talk about it. But connecting to your deepest desire, but also understanding that the universe understands and hears you. And just like 9/11 unmoored me, you know, when I lived in New York, I lived on the Upper West Side of Manhattan, and then I lived in Brooklyn. I thought, I'm never gonna live anyplace else but New York. I mean, never, like literally, that was my deepest desire. I'm like, I love New York, I love Manhattan, I love the yelling, I love the cussing, not so much the smells, but you know, it works for me. And so I was like, yeah, this is me, I am never leaving here. I am in Portland, Oregon. So, you know, you can't fully know, right? And you have to be open to the movement of the universe, because what really was my deepest desire? And, you know, my deepest desire is to have meaning, to have a meaningful life, to give support and aid in this world, to be a person who is willing to do the hard things. Those are some of my actual deepest desires, right? And so, but those were not, I thought my deepest desire was to stay in Manhattan on the Upper West Side, like that, but that was not it. So, you know, you have to be open. And then how can I serve? You know, because this part of service is a key part of our lives. You know, a lot of people suffer because they are unhappy. And they're unhappy because they don't feel fulfilled, but they don't know why. And they think, oh, if I get married, that'll make it better. Or if I get this better job, that'll make it better. Or if I get a boyfriend or a girlfriend, that'll make it better. It's all these kind of things. But really what it is people want to be of service in the world, and they don't know how. And so asking yourself, how can you serve? How can you be of service in moving this grand epic, this history forward, right? Deepak Chopra talks about this cleansing prayer from Swami Chinmayanda. It says, and this is cleansing for your spiritual, or you could do it for your closet too. May my life be simple and pure, so I only know beauty. May my mind be clear and quiet, so I only speak truth. May my heart be filled with love and compassion, so I radiate light to all I meet. May all I do be blessed with divine grace. I mean, that is, once you have cleansed, once you have moved things out, you can bring it down to its simplicity. So I tell you, it's shocking. So I looked under my sink this morning, and I can find a brush, I can find the hair product I'm looking for. I'm like, this is crazy. People live like this? I had no idea. I had no idea, if you organize things, how nice life could be. And it may sound silly because, you know, it's like, but, you know, I'm not a rigid person. So, you know, sometimes the brush may not go back where it belongs. But the idea that I was so afraid or so uncomfortable with this idea of moving these items, it was really about of blockages and the things that block, and also a story, an old story about me. I am messy, therefore I cannot be organized, therefore this is who I am, and this is the way it is, and blah, 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 blah. So being willing to cleanse myself, to move that story out, to say, well, you know, maybe I could have another way. I mean, you know, my condo I live in is set up so that the kitchen and the living, dining are all kind of one space. And I have started, you know, putting dishes in the dishwasher every night when I moved there. And I was like, wow, this from a person who in college threw dishes out because they didn't want to wash them. So, you know, this is big stuff. So I was like, you know, I can change. I can be changed. I can change through the process of cleansing myself. And the cleansing has a value. That literal cleansing had a metaphorical value for me to really ask me to ask myself some questions. And that's my timer. So I just went to time myself. Very pleasant music. And so, you know, for me, the other thing about this is that there are gifts on the other side. There are literal and metaphorical gifts on the other side. Cleaning, they found this gold Buddha, right? And, you know, for me, what it was is I found a gift certificate to Domaine Serene Winery. And some of you may know Domaine Serene is this very beautiful winery, and I got it like 2 years ago in 2019 at some, you know, nonprofit auction, and I thought it had been thrown away because I was like, oh, you know, I don't know where that is. That's terrible. And when I went to go through my closet and look at things, I actually took the time to look at everything, because if I hadn't, I still would have thrown it away. Right? So this process of spiritual, literal cleansing is not like, oh, I'm just going to throw everything in the garbage. I mean, you might once a month clean something. You might once a week or one thing a day. But to thoroughly go through things, I had to actually go through. And in going through things, I found this gift certificate. Oh, did I lose myself? Oh, there we are. So I found this gift certificate. It was 2 years old for a wine tasting for 4. And to their credit, Domaine Serene honored it. Now, I did tell them there was no expiration date. I was like, you know, I just want to add that. But the thing of it is, I did not know that gift was waiting for me. I did not know that it had been held in there for 2 years. And I went out with 4 friends on Labor Day. It was a glorious, beautiful, sunny day. I did not know that sunny day was waiting for me in that scary closet. How could I have known that that scary closet could hold something so inherently beautiful? And unless I went ahead and did the thing that I was most afraid of, which is to go in there and see and move out of the way. And so the question I ask you to take with you today is, what other gifts in our lives are we missing because we're afraid? Because we are afraid to do the hard things, because we are afraid to move the things out of our way, because we are afraid to face the things that we fear. We have to sift through the mess to get through those gifts. And I encourage you to take this as an opportunity, if not to address one junk drawer or to address one blockage in your heart or your mind or your body. And so I thank you for listening to my message. So it is.
Wow, that was inspiring. Are we all inspired to go home and find a gift in our closet or our drawers? I'm ready to go do it. I'm ready to do it. All right, and now we're going to be ready to take our love offering this morning. This is a time of our gratitude practice of receiving our tithes and love offerings. And as our ushers are coming forward, Leah's going to put our way to text a tithe. This is the easiest way for you to give here at Unity Spiritual Center of Portland. There's blue cards in the backs of the chairs if you need to see it up close, but the number's on there that you can text your tithe to. Then, of course, we will collect love offering here today, and you can also go onto our website or on the newsletter and donate that way as well. So let's hold our gifts in our hearts and let's bless those. We'll say our blessing together. Divine love as me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive.
We're going to sing Ain't No Mountain High Enough. I'd like to invite you to sing along with us. I know y'all know it. Listen, baby, ain't no mountain high, ain't no valley low, ain't no river wide enough. If you need me, call me, no matter where you are, no matter how far, don't worry. Just baby, there ain't no mountain high enough, ain't no valley low enough, ain't no river wide enough to keep me from getting to you. Remember the day I set you free? I told you you could always count on me. From that day on, I made a vow I'll be there when you want me, some way, somehow. 'Cause baby, there ain't no mountain high enough, ain't no valley low enough, ain't no river wide enough to keep me from getting to you. Ain't no mountain high enough, ain't no valley low enough, ain't no river wide enough, ain't no mountain high enough, ain't no valley low enough, ain't no river wide enough to keep me from getting to you, to keep me from getting to you, to keep me from getting to you. Yeah, yeah.
Thank you again, Susan Brakall, Mark Pearson, Sean Vincent, our bass player over there, and our singers. Thank you so much. Beautiful today, just beautiful. All right, so if you'll stand and join me in our peace song and our unity prayer following.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
Great, and now if you'll join me in our unity prayer, and we welcome you to come back next week. Reverend Lisa will be here. We'll welcome her back together. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Have a beautiful week. Join us downstairs for some coffee and connection.
I'm gonna move to the light. I'm gonna sing of the light. I'm gonna sing with the light. I'm gonna dance in the light. When I choose to remember that Spirit is all, I rejoice and give praise and shine in the light. I'm gonna move to the light. I'm gonna speak of the light. I'm gonna sing with the light. I'm gonna dance in the light. When I choose to remember that Spirit is all, I rejoice and give praise and shine in the light. When I choose to remember that Spirit is all. shine.